Guys, we're back. It's two girls, one cut. We actually have two girls, one cut, and a guy. Nobody's on assignment. Everybody's here, ready to go.
Whoop, whoop,
Britt's
whoop.
out there. Yep. Trace.
Hey, I'm glad to see both of you guys together now.
Gosh, we are too. I've missed you.
Well,
I sure
good. I've missed
have.
you guys too. And either
Yeah.
one is gone or the other's gone, and
Well, we're never gonna do it again.
you
Never
No,
just
again.
you can't make a pyramid with two.
that's
No, you
exactly
can't. And you
right.
can't have two girls, one cut with one, It
No,
just doesn't
it
work that way.
doesn't work at
Mm-mm.
all.
So, just a couple things before we get started. We've got some new shows to check out. We've got Someone Knows, which is going to be a true crime, unsolved mystery type vibe of a show. That's going to be Saturdays at 7. We have Beyond the Mats. That's going to be about MMA fighting. That's going to be found on Wednesdays at 8. And then, of course, the Haunted Chronicles with Jimmy Haunted Friday nights at 8.
Jimmy.
You can find us on all of the places. So our Facebook page, Nighthawk Radio, the YouTube Music, Spotify, Rumble, all one word, Nighthawk Radio. Um, and I'm kind of excited to check out Someone Knows. I don't know about the Beyond the Mats, but I'm kind of excited to see about this Unsolved Mysteries show.
Yeah,
See what it's all about.
we actually interviewed her there last week, and she was talking about how all of her shows are. It's kind of like Dateline without an ending because all
I
of
don't
them
know
are
how I
un.
feel about that.
It's all unsolved mysteries or all
Yeah,
unsolved murders.
yeah. So I love the idea. I love the idea of cold cases not allowing to remain cold. But I'm one of those people where I like a finality. I like an ending. I like to know the who done it and why they done it and when they
Yeah,
done it. And until I find that out, you know, um,
but think of it this way: it could bring light to a cold case that as long as you keep talking about a cold case, then it's
it
never
ain't
going to go
cold.
away.
It's lukewarm. That's
Yeah.
right.
So, but
So
it
for the
is a really
victims, I think that that's awesome.
it is a really
So,
cool concept. That's yeah, we're going to tell you about all this information of somebody missing and presumed dead or already found dead, but who done it?
right.
Also, I
Yeah.
feel like cold cases, it's like the more time that has passed, the harder it is
Sure.
to then end up solving it. Unless, of course, it's something to do with DNA. Maybe they didn't
Mm,
have the resources when the person went missing.
That's right.
Um, so I do love
true.
whenever they go back and they're like, "Well, let's test this evidence
Hmm.
and see what it shows us," and then
You
they
know,
finally get answers.
and they had the wherewithal to them to collect enough evidence, even though DNA was not a thing.
They still collected
They
what
still
they
could,
needed.
right. And
Yeah.
now, and speaking of DNA, that's what got this guy
Mhm.
Absolutely.
100% captured after, I
Yep.
don't know, it was like 30, 35, 40
40 years.
years
Yep.
of
40
what he
years.
was doing. This is
Yep.
what got him caught.
Yep. So we are going to talk tonight about Joseph D'Angelo. He's known by a bunch of different names. The most common is the Golden State Killer. He was also called, let's see, the East Side Rapist.
Rapist, yeah.
The
He
East
was
Area Rapist,
East
East Bay
Area.
Rapist.
Yeah.
He had
And
a lot
then
of
I
monikers.
saw it was the manner of which he tied him up. It was like it was a um,
The Diamond Knot Killer.
diamond knot. That's what it was, the
Yes,
diamond knot
yes.
killer. And DNA was ultimately what served him with his crime was his warrant. And it wasn't a direct DNA. It was the gentleman that worked his case or worked that case for a lot of years, because a lot of people had their hands in it, actually decided that they were going to take the DNA from the crime scenes, put them in like 23andMe,
Mm-hmm.
Ancestry.com, see if they could come up with his
A
family
relative.
members,
Yeah.
and were able to narrow it down by, this far removed and this, that, and the other. And then when they kind of narrowed it down to this one particular man, then they were able to get a tissue
Right.
with some snot on it that put the nail in his proverbial
And
coffin.
they kind of, in a roundabout way, they didn't use the 23andMe and this and that, but they did use DNA for BTK as a relative. And
His daughter.
the finality of it, they asked, did the DNA match? He said, well, we don't know that Dennis Rader is the murderer of the BTK, but
Hmm.
the father of this girl is BTK,
Yeah.
Correct.
and that's how he got
It,
caught.
it does not lie.
No, at
Cannot lie.
all. So
Science
let's
is
get
one
into
of the
this guy.
things. So, Mr. D'Angelo, when you look at him now, because that's what we see now, you see a frail, decrepit, little papal,
Yeah.
looking man, still big in stature, I feel like, big strapping man, but I think he was, gosh, like 76
4, I think.
or
Yeah.
4 whenever he was captured. Um, I believe he started out life in New York. I believe he was a transplant to California. I think he was born in Bath, New York, what I read, and ended up in California. Same kind of story with the torture aspect of things. He was definitely not kind to animals, not kind to anything that was weaker,
Hmm.
smaller than him. Um, I didn't really get a whole lot of information, I feel like, about his immediate family. I don't know if you did, Britt, but usually that's something that I read a lot about or listen a lot about, is the dynamic between who we choose and their mother and dad, their siblings.
Yes.
Um,
So I know that his dad was in the military. He's a big army guy.
okay,
Um, he was very physically abusive. Um,
okay. So
he
that
had,
follows right along.
yeah, he had two sisters. Joseph did. He had two sisters, and they were over in Germany for um, a period of time because, like I said, Dad was in the military and he was stationed in Germany. And I guess that there were two um, air pilots, um, other men in the service. When his sister was 7 years old, I think he was a couple years older than her. He witnessed these two men raping his little sister.
Okay, I
Um,
do now remember reading a little bit about that and just thinking, what kind of an impression would that make on a young
mhm,
man that's prepubescent,
Right.
10,
mhm.
11 years old? Here you see someone in an authoritative position, probably matching your father's, I would
And probably
assume.
somebody you
Yeah.
trusted.
Somebody
Yes.
you knew, somebody you grew up with, somebody that grew up with you, and you watch them do something horrific to someone that you love. Definitely didn't start this life out on a good note.
And then
Um,
also his dad pretty much brushed it under the rug. He said, "We're not going to ever speak of this again." And he kind of
I
just
wonder
ignored
what
the fact
happened
that
to
it
his
even
wow.
happened.
sister.
I don't know.
That would be
I'd like to know myself, what she
because
ended
if
up
you
doing.
you think you put yourself in her shoes, and this happened to you by two different men.
Mm.
Literally at 7 years old.
Yeah. So, what kind of life did you grow up to do? 'Cause especially if your dad says, "Hey, we're never going to speak of this again."
Hmm.
Right.
I
Not, we're
mean,
going to decapitate this
right,
piece of shit that did this
right.
to you.
We're going to forget about it and forget it ever
Where
happened.
you're going to forget about it,
Yeah, that'd be tough right
un,
there. But
unexplainable.
that would kind of explain because this, D'Angelo was obviously sexually driven.
Mm-hmm.
Because it started out as he kind of snuck into your house and probably stole your underwear type stuff to as it progressed to rape and then progressed to rape and murder
Mm-hmm.
over the years. So you could see where that would affect him as a young man,
Oh my gosh.
you know. And again, your dad's telling even you as a big brother, forget about
Right.
this.
Right.
As far as we're concerned, it didn't happen.
And now that you say it like that, the more that I think about the way that he operated, it makes good sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things that he did that I felt like were not only to the victim themselves, but to the victim's husband or family members.
Hmm.
What would be more demasculating or more vulnerable as a man than, here you are, you're asleep in your bed in your safe area, and one, you get completely side
Bombarded, really.
yeah, by a man with a flashlight that's literally filling your eyes full of light. Usually he would have, if it was a couple, he would have the female tie up the male,
Hmm.
and then he would tie up the female, and then he would then go back to the male and redo their ties to make for sure that they were good and secure. And then while this man was having to listen to the assault of his wife in the next room, typically, he would stack fine china on his back and say, if I hear these rattle, if I hear this move, I'll stop right in the middle of what I'm doing and I'll come in here and I'll kill you, or I'll
Yeah.
kill her in front of you and then I'll kill you. So not only are you being violated in your own home, you're having to listen to your partner in life, get raped and brutalized, but you have to lay there quietly,
Motionless. Yeah.
can't make a move to be their saving grace, and you have to lay there and listen to the whole thing. So he did that, and he also, one thing that he did that I found to be a little bit different than the rest was he would uh he would give these folks a little ring-a-ding, a little call, maybe 2 weeks after, maybe a month after, maybe 6 weeks after he assaulted them, if he let them live. And he would taunt them on the phone. He
Yeah.
would
I forgot about
call
that.
them,
Yeah.
and he would basically say, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. He'd say it over and over again. I'm going to kill you because you're a whore. And then long enough, for him to get the point across, but not long enough for them to be able to pin down where he's calling from, if they were able to, record it or whatever, just puts a little extra fear into
Yeah.
his
I forgot
victimization.
about that. Him making the phone calls afterwards. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This
So
guy
I
was
feel like
kind
that
of brutal.
he took it to a different level in the fear department.
Hmm.
Um, to one, make the men aspect of it just completely
Took them out of the
takes
picture.
their takes their manhood
Yeah.
completely away. And then not only that, but I want you to look over your shoulder because I'm going to call you ever so often and remind you of what I did to you and your wife, by saying some disgusting, raunchy things to you over the phone to just scare the shit out of you, basically, again and again
God,
and again.
that's like a nightmare that never ends.
Hmm. Yeah, he was definitely, he definitely escalated. He escalated over time and just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, because
So,
he started out as they called him like Visalia Ransacker.
this,
I think that
yeah,
was like the town that they lived in or something.
Yeah.
yeah, it was like
Um,
Vasales or something like that. And
Visalia
basically,
something,
he
yeah.
was just a burglar. He would just, and he
Yeah.
did it.
And
He
I
didn't do it
think,
in the cover of darkness. He did it usually in the middle of the day.
yeah. And
And he would just go in, and not only would he take their items, but he did more personal stuff. He would go in and eat from their pantry.
yeah. And I think he took some women's underwear as
I'm pretty
well.
sure you are right. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure you're right on that. He was a trophy, evidently, he was a trophy taker, same
And I
as
mean,
a
I
lot of
don't
the
know
other
how,
men.
I mean, you guys would know better than that as being women, but I mean, how would that
Make you
feel?
feel.
Well, I
So
mean,
completely
okay.
violating.
Yeah, but versus like somebody just stealing one of your trinkets off your dresser.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
this guy went into your underwear drawer. You
Right.
know, one, that's creepy as hell, for one.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
two, to know that that's what that guy was, I mean, he had the intentions of finding your underwear.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
and then
violating.
your chicken salad that you made the day
That's
before.
right. I mean, he
I
may
feel
be
like
wiping his
that would
mouth
have
off with
really
your underwear,
upset
you
me.
know?
Yeah, and stuffed it
I
in
mean,
his front pocket and walked straight out the door.
yeah,
And that was a lot of the times where when there would be visual, um, people would get a visual on him. It would typically be in broad daylight, coming out of the home of the place that he just burgled, and um, usually still have a ski mask on, so they could only see just a few centimeters around his eyeballs, and then disappeared into the afternoon, just on a
just
Sunday
like it was
afternoon.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He um he also he also did he listened to the police. He listened to interviews. He went to town meetings. I remember them talking about this one instance where the whole city was in an uproar about his, just basically he was hitting, someone every week. And this husband stood up in the middle of the town meeting and was basically like, look, I want everyone here to know that I'm basically armed to the teeth. Like I've got
I remember
firearms,
this. Yeah.
I've got a security camera on my home. I've got all of these things put into place. And if he comes through my door, he's only going to go out of it in a body bag.
And he
And
got hit the next week.
it wasn't
That's,
but 1 week later, he absolutely did get to that couple and raped and assaulted her. And that was one of the ones that he stacked the dishes on his back and said, if you move, I'll blow your head off
and
while
that's
I'm
when they
making
kind
you
of just
home.
remember or decided that, hey, this guy's coming to these meetings. We got to, I
Hmm.
mean, we don't know who he is, but he's coming to these town meetings.
He's local, he blends, he's not remarkable in any way, shape, or form, and he's one of us.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
that makes
now
it
we
even
know,
creepier because, I mean, you think you could be your neighbor. It could be the guy that lives
oh,
across the street.
be the
It could be your
librarian.
paper, your mailman. It could
Hmm.
be anybody. But it's in that circle. You just don't
Oh
know
yeah,
who in that
yeah,
circle it is.
yeah. It's like living in the game Clue, and it would be just hell all the
Yeah.
time because everybody that did anything off the wall or a little weird or maybe not might be him.
Yeah. It could be the guy
So
delivering your mail or anything.
yeah. So they knew that he was definitely among them, lived among them, walked, worked among them. And now we know that he held some positions within his community that makes perfect sense. We know now that he was a police officer
Yep.
for a short stint of time, 4 or 5 years, I think. And strange, he got picked up for shoplifting and lost his position as a just a street cop. He worked just normal jobs.
I
Lived
think
in
he was a
a
mechanic.
little, yep, a deep like a truck
Yeah.
mechanic,
I
diesel
think when
mechanic.
he got caught, he was still a mechanic.
Still
Hmm.
worked, yep,
Yeah.
still worked. So, he was the everyday Joe, the literally, you wouldn't have ever thought anything different about him. He was married, had three children. His wife, his daughters, all said in separate interviews, there's no way that my dad, did the things you're accusing him of. He was a soccer dad, he was a cheer dad, he was at every function. He, the wife of 30 years, said he did go out of town for work, yes, but he was an upstanding member of society. You got it wrong. You got it wrong. And unfortunately, DNA doesn't lie.
And how many times is that the story, though?
Right.
He, there's always
Double
the
lie.
interview on the news station where, oh, he was a great guy. He helped me fix this, or he helped me with
Yeah.
that, and he was just a normal guy. But that's that part of serial killers that fade in and out of those worlds.
Just like
That,
everything else.
yeah, I mean, you
It's
know,
amazing.
that's the fascinating part, I think, with people and serial killers, how they blend into their perfect little world with their wife and 2.5 kids and whatever.
Mhm.
And then,
Their
hey, I'm
wife and the
taking,
dog, and then
yeah. And then next thing
in the
you
night
know,
or in the day, they're raping and pillaging
and
and murdering
yeah.
and terrorizing an entire community for
But
a
you know
decade.
what? Put yourself like in his shoes and the planning that had to take place to keep the family, in basically clueless. Hey, I got this trip this weekend. I've got to go away, but the whole time you may not have went anywhere. You stayed in that
Oh,
community and raped and killed, and then just went back home and was like, "Yeah, it was a great trip. We did okay.
yeah.
And
Well, and
that
as
is
often as he did that, you'd have to think, how was he never not caught up in lies to his wife, to his family? Because it's one thing whenever you are actually out traveling or doing this or doing that, but after so long, like, how would you keep those lies straight? How would you, if someone said to you, "Oh, hey, yeah, I heard that, you went on a fishing trip to such and so," because that's what you told everybody, but really you were just, a couple blocks down,
raping and killing. Yeah.
raping and murdering. How can you keep all that straight? Did he have to write it down? Did he have a calendar? Did he,
Well, I think
how
that's
did
the
that
part
work?
of their brain that, compulsive liars,
Mm-hmm.
if they tell a lie enough, they believe it's truth. So, and I think
100%.
that is part of that serial killer mindset that, once they tell a story in their mind, it's locked in.
I mean, photographic.
Yeah, it's locked into the details.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he definitely was one that I feel like um challenged the police, challenged authority. Not only did he, kind of make himself known within the community of which he lived, this beautiful little suburb in Eastern California, but they'd also talked a little bit, the police did, when they were interviewing, different people about him early in his career, where he basically said, they said he was, he wouldn't do anything if he knew that there were men in the home. He would only target if there were females and females and children in the home. And lo and behold, the next week, he changed his MO up a little bit. And then from that moment on, he would try to hit places where he knew that it was a couple situation, and then would, you know, force them to have to listen to all of this horrible detail going on to their loved ones in the next room. So I feel like he definitely had some oppositional defiance, or some mental illness that way.
Yeah, and I think for some reason I'm thinking that he hit two houses on the same block, just a few nights
Mhm.
apart from each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
think he did.
yeah, because he almost got caught on one. A guy got loose and
Okay.
grabbed
And
a
I feel
gun.
like this happened more than
Multiple
once.
times. Yeah, I do
Yes,
too.
where
Yeah,
he was
he
so
got ran
close to
off.
getting caught,
Yeah,
and then he would either chase them down and shoot them, um, to eliminate,
Hmm.
any chance of them telling on him or
right.
saying, "This is who you are." But there were some that got away, and there were a lot of, like, composite sketches of him
Yeah,
Hmm.
at
that's
the
right.
time too, and they look just like him. Like,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it really is so crazy that he was
that
never caught,
DNA
that he
is
was
what got him
able.
caught. It wasn't
Yeah,
anything else. There was no
years and
fingerprints.
years later.
Yeah,
Oh
there
my
was,
God.
the only witnesses was basically was the victims, and I think at one time there was a composite sketch of a guy. He was walking his dog, and the
Mhm.
guy he seen him running down the block, but he couldn't really give a description. Just basically his stature, and he couldn't
Mhm.
get any details. But yeah, you're right. It's amazing how he lasted all those years without getting caught, and it was DNA from his sibling that got him caught.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. He, just the sheer terror that he caused an entire community and then disappeared off the face of the earth, went a little further south. And instead of being, a panty thief or petty burglar, that was really, as he moved, into Southern California, that was whenever he really started deciding, I guess, that, burglarizing and rape wasn't exciting enough. So he was gonna, start murdering people. And I believe that he was convicted and talked about 13 murders. I want to say 50 plus rapes, but there was many, many more.
Yeah, and you think about some of
And
them probably were never even reported.
right, right. And age didn't matter. He would get anywhere between, I think his youngest was a 13-year-old female. And I watched the interview of her, and bless her heart, the one thing that she said that stood out to me was, as they got more information about the man that they couldn't recognize, he definitely operated on fear. And the more you showed him that you were afraid, the more he got enjoyment out of whatever it was he was doing
So
to
now
you.
we're back to the typical serial killer power trip.
Yep. So whenever he broke in on her and her mother, she said she knew that when she heard the plates going away from her door, that they were going to her mother's room, and he would be back to her in her room and what she was awaiting.
I remember
And
that.
she was
Yeah,
correct. And she said, my goal was, I was not going to give him what he wanted in the way of letting him see me cry, letting him see me upset, letting him see me afraid. And she said, so I basically told him that I was not afraid of him. He was going to do what he was going to do, but he was not going to scare me in that way. And I was like, she's
You go, girl.
badass,
Yeah. So she powered
because
through it.
she sure did. And she was one that was able to be there whenever he was caught, was able to give her victim impact statement, um, and was able to tell him, basically what she went through and what he caused her to experience in a 13-year-old's mind. And I commended her for being able to be strong enough to stand up there and say all the things
Yeah.
that was
And,
done to
that's a
her.
lot at that age.
Oh,
Oh. But,
there's another.
Is she come to accept what was about to happen, but she wasn't going to let it take over her.
Nope. Nope. And at 13, being able to,
Yeah.
one, know that what's coming for you. Two, to mentally prepare in the little bit of time that you had. Three, she did make a comment that, she was grateful that what was getting ready to happen happened to her instead of her mother, which I thought that was, pretty valiant. And then to just, like you said, disassociate yourself enough to where you made it through that horrible ordeal, without giving him anything that he wanted, which was tears, fears, crying out,
satisfaction of power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I thought
she basically
hardcore.
took the power away from him.
Right.
Because you're not going to fear me. You're not going to make me intimidated.
Yep. And she made sure to tell him that during her victim impact statement. And he wouldn't look at any of his victims. They would come up one after another, and tell who they were and how old they were and what year it happened in. And they would say, I want you to look at me when I'm talking to you. He wouldn't even.
He played that frail. If you watch some of the trial in a wheelchair, and he would tremble and, but at that point, who had the power?
Right.
Even though you violated somebody's body, they took that power back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is half, getting yourself violated by rape. I mean, that's something that will probably live with you the rest of your life. You're not going to get rid of that. But to have that moment of clarity to the point to where now I have the power over you, you old frail bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Now the tables have turned.
Right.
That's got to be some satisfaction.
Also, how angry would it make you just knowing that all of the terrible things that this man has done, and he has lived a long life,
a normal life,
after committing all these crimes. Like, he might be in prison now, but it's like, how much life does he have left to live?
Years. Yeah, 75 good years out there.
Yeah.
But
with a wife and children and probably grandchildren and a career and a home.
But if you believe in God and the way that works, that dude's going to burn in hell for eternity. Right. So again, who has the last laugh?
Right.
We may want the satisfaction and the revenge right now, but in the long run, he's done. Yeah,
his goose is cooked.
That's right.
I do remember another one. There's a couple different facets to the story that I thought were neat. I got it from the first time I heard about him was on like 48 Hours or Dateline or one of those shows. I got that view. The view that I have kind of gotten over the last few days of listening about him was kind of a different view. And it was from a woman by the last name of McNamara. Did you get any information from her, Britt?
I don't think so.
So she was married to a comedian and an actor named Oswald Patton.
Yeah. I know where you're going with this now. Yeah.
And she was a true crime lover, unsolved mysteries lover, and she would get locked in on these certain cold cases and would use her, I guess, her husband's celebrity status kind of, and her love of true crime and trying to figure things out on her own, that she would platform and try to get, unsolved mysteries solved. So for years, she actually was the one that coined the name the Golden State Killer. Um, she was the one that kept his name in the paper, kept it on the media, kept it, stirred up to where somebody was always looking, somebody was always trying to figure out who this was.
Right.
And this woman dedicated, I believe it was 4 or 5 years of her personal life to writing a book, um, and in the hopes of catching him
Right.
or
Yeah.
naming him or whatever. And her husband, with him, being a celebrity, um, he was kind of like her Watson to her Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a team effort, and he talked about this, endeavor that she went on. Like, he would keep their daughter while she went and interviewed investigators, while she went and actually walked through some of the places where the crimes took place, where she met with victims, met with victims' families, was just trying to bust this thing wide open.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and so she got many years deep into writing this book on this man of whom she didn't know who he was yet. And it took such a toll on her that she passed away at the
Yeah.
age of,
I
I
remember
believe,
that.
46,
Yes. Very young.
in the
Oh,
middle of writing this book. And it completely, of course, devastated her husband, her daughter. She was 7 at the time. Her name was Alice.
mm,
And he talked about, the morning that she passed away, and how it completely changed his life as he knew it. And then in the following months after her death, waiting on her autopsy report to come back, thinking to himself, I've got to finish what she
What she
started.
started. Right. Yeah.
And
that was going to be my
so,
next question. If you finished
yeah,
it.
he did. He finished the book. And then it was like, I want to say like 2 years to the date. She died, I believe, in the spring equinox. So she died like right around the beginning of spring, Easter type thing. And I believe he was caught about 2 years almost to the day of her death date.
Wow.
And I thought that that was a little bit of karma, a little bit of the universe, or
Oh,
whatever you
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
believe in. But she dedicated years of her life and lots of money, lots of time to they trying to figure out to put a name to the Golden State Killer. And because of her audacity, it was done. And I thought that that was cool.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember that whole thing when that happened. Oswald come on TV, and he
mhm.
would do interviews and things, especially after he had that the D'Angelo got caught, and he would talk about his wife's work and how they've kind of broke it down into who they you know figured out who it was, and but ultimately, like you said, you can't get away from DNA.
Does not lie.
And we talked about this earlier that the police, even though DNA didn't exist, they saved enough evidence and certain kinds of evidence that was able to.
Unbeknownst to them that it was going to make any difference at all,
Right.
because they didn't
and
know
and
what they
who
might do
knew,
with that spit or
even
whatever.
I'm even surprised that DNA lasts that long,
Mm-hmm.
on clothing or on whatever they have. that they can pick your DNA from something that's 20 years old, 30 years old.
Right.
Then,
Right.
I was very surprised at that. But if you think about it, I mean, they're finding like mammoth teeth, and they're
And they're
drilling
able to
into it and
date
getting
them back.
DNA out of it, and
Right.
that's a whole Jurassic Park different show type thing. But it's just the fact that that lives that long after you're gone.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very interesting. DNA is, it makes it for us as people who are fascinated with serial killers, the odds of another D'Angelo who did this for 30 years and never got caught, another BTK
Right.
who did it for 20 years and never got caught, a Rodney Ocala who did it for 25, 20 years and never got caught. Those guys, I think we are not going to see anymore because
Right.
the DNA
Mm-hmm.
is so telling. All they got to
And quick.
do, yeah, I mean, they may have your DNA at the scene, but they still have to connect it with you. So,
Mhm.
but if you get a suspect, now all you got to do is get a straw, a
Yep.
cigarette
Cigarette
butt,
butt.
a coffee
Q-tip.
cup, yeah,
Yep.
anything that has any kind of DNA on it, and it's just that fast. They can either weed you out
Oh,
as someone who is not a suspect, or
yep.
make you a 100% suspect.
In a quick,
Or
fast
if
hurry.
you were, in trouble with the law before and they have your DNA on
That's right.
file.
And I think when you go to prison now, it is anyone who goes to prison gets
Automatic.
their DNA took.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
in the state of California, because of him and because of the McNamara thing, that became a state law. They have their own database for felons in the state of California that it's mandated that if they are a felon, that they have to provide their DNA to be able to put inside of that database, so that if there are cases like the Golden State Killer that have remained unsolved for years and years, they can always rerun, first time run DNA and try to close a lot of those cold
Right.
cases out.
And now they use the 23andMe, all
Mm-hmm.
these other things now. And you know what? It's kind of a running joke here because I've thought about doing that several times just to find out, my ancestry and this and that. And then I got to thinking, you know what? What if I become a criminal? I don't
Or
want my
someone that's
DNA out there.
or someone that you're related to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, no, I don't. I don't know. I don't know
Well,
how I
I
feel
do
about
have a
that.
funny story, my own personal experience with it. I was adopted and I've always known that, my entire life. My parents always told me it was never a negative thing. It was always, positive and good. And whenever I turned 18, of course, in 1998, there was not 23andMe. There was none of that yet. But then as I got older, because my adoption was closed, um, I decided that I wanted to see if I would get any hits on doing that whenever it became available to the public and affordable. And so I bought one of the kits and I did all the steps. And sh- right around that time, it was when I found my siblings. And we were able to confirm it not by DNA, but we were able to confirm it by timeline and knowledge and the look, like all of us looking alike and what have you. And I remember my sister said, "Well, I want to do it because I swear, Ab, I think we have the same dad." And I'm like, "We can do it. You can do it. I'll do it. If brother wants to do it, that's cool too." And he was like, "Nope, no, 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 count me out, because they will take that DNA and they will sprinkle it at a crime scene. They've just got all kinds of people
He's not
picked."
wrong.
And he's like, "I don't want no part of that. If you girls want to do it, that's fine." So the two of the three of us did it, and she and I shared 1/4, 1/4 of our DNA, which definitely showed that we had the same mother. different fathers. And then probably about 7 or 8 months after we did that, I was at work one evening. I got an email alert. It said, you have 23 new relatives, and which was all the time happening. But that night I just happened to pop on there and look, and it'll tell you, how many removed. And usually it's like you have a new sixth cousin. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, congratulations, it's a girl. No, that night I actually had a stepbrother, half brother. And I was like, oh my God, that they knew nothing about. So
Wow.
all of us together found out that our mother, not only did she have three of us, but really she had four of us. And since then
So
we've
was
been
he
able to meet.
also given up for adoption?
He was.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So since then we have my two brothers and I have had meetings. My sister did not want to take part in meeting the newest brother, which was fine. But we've all, met and talked, and it was really super cool. But
That's
I just think,
interesting, though, her viewpoint, considering you were also kind of an outsider,
right,
because it
right,
was the
You
two
know
of
what?
them. You were
I'm
adopted out.
I'm thinking
right,
I'm getting more Christmas presents. That's what I'm thinking.
right, right. It
But
definitely, it was definitely cool to see people that looked like me,
Yes.
that had a lot. I know it makes me sound really old, but had some of the same medical issues as I
Yeah.
do. And so, we skipped all the pinching and the mom, and we went straight to, how's your gout been, brother? Oh, okay, well, you know, you
How's the
still have the
diabetes treating
how's
pinching.
the
you?
diabetes
Yeah,
doing?
yeah. How's that treating you? What are you taking these days? And so I hope he listens to this one. We definitely had some things in common that was pretty cool. But, it just lets me know that, for $100, I was able to get a lot of answers for
Hmm.
myself. And I know now that $100 to run a test like that um, can literally
Change
pull
your life.
someone out of the woodwork in a
Yeah.
good
Hmm.
way, in a bad way.
I've had the
You
same
know,
experiences myself,
okay,
um, with extra relatives that nobody
didn't know
nobody
how.
knew of. Yeah,
Hey, it's a
yeah,
girl. She's
right.
46. Or
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your case, not 46.
Wow.
Pretty
For
cool.
years, I wouldn't take a picture, and everybody would say, "Why not?" I said, "Well, I don't need any modern pictures. What if I decide to rob a bank? I don't want a new
See,
picture. You know what I
I
Right.
mean?"
I heard a lot of people saying whenever I decided to do the 23andMe, I don't know if you should do that. It's your DNA, but like I don't plan on robbing a bank. I don't plan
Hmm.
on
Well,
murdering
that's the
anybody.
thing. You don't today.
So
You never know what's
Right.
going to happen
I
tomorrow.
suppose. I
Right.
suppose.
Desperate times call for desperate
That's
measures.
That's
right. And
right.
but that was my biggest thing is yeah, you're giving your DNA, and what if it just I have mixed feelings about that being in a database somewhere
Right. Right.
until maybe one of my siblings robs a bank or something to that
Right.
effect, and
Well,
I
and they
just
hold on to that because
for years.
I still to this day will get offers, discounts, where I did not opt to do the health part,
Mhm.
where they can actually break it down further and see like cancer markers,
Right,
stuff like
yeah.
that. Do I still want to? They'll give it to me 50% off.
Mhm.
And it's like,
And
have you
honestly,
got my skit?
they
Yeah, you
probably
do.
run all of that whenever they
Hmm.
receive your sample.
And
They
only
Oh
just
tell
yeah.
don't
you,
make it available to
Right,
you.
right.
yeah.
And but I didn't, like I said, I never wanted any modern pictures, but now we do this. I've just destroyed my
Yeah,
me getting away from a bank rob.
exactly.
But it's
Yeah, you did.
I mean, I'm 5'7", 260 pounds. I mean, I'm not hard to describe, you know. So,
You're just two girls, one cut, and Tracy.
And
That's all
Yeah.
people need to know.
that's
yeah.
right. I need to black out my
Your
stuff
eyes.
here.
Maybe make your face fuzzy or blurry or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
do the voice thing where it sounds a little different. But
Mhm.
I mean, to get back to everything, I mean, that's exactly what got this guy caught. He thought he was just scot free. You know,
Mhm.
I'm sure he's in his 70s. He's thinking, I got away with this all these years, and then all of a sudden the police are knocking at your door saying, "Hey, you're the Golden State Killer."
Yeah.
And he's
And-
also probably thinking like that's all in the past,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I seen pictures of him.
He's went years and years with
Right.
no
On
occurrences.
I seen pictures of him with he had a really good close friend who he worked for or worked with as a mechanic. I think they were at a bus garage or a diesel mechanic or something, but they were really close friends and they would go on these fishing trips. And I've seen pictures of him, holding these big fish up that they'd caught and just living the life,
Yeah.
and he wasn't in a wheelchair, he wasn't decrepit, he wasn't, and then they knock on his door.
And
Say,
he was actually, when he was arrested, I believe he was outside cleaning his gutters. Like, he
yeah, I
was
think so.
in good physical health. He was
And
in
now all of a
good
sudden I
mental
can't
health.
walk,
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
you're
I mean, what
gonna
kind of,
accuse
because
me
it's
of-
the mercy of the court, but at that point, I don't care if you're on a gurney or doing backflips, there is no mercy.
right.
You have to go
can't
away.
rape 100 people. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to go away.
Yeah. And
So-
he did I believe he got 8 life sentences without the possibility, and then plus 8 more years on top of that.
Yeah.
So all to run consecutively. So he's
And it's just so
definitely-
unfortunate that he will serve very little,
Yeah,
very
I
little
agree.
time.
I agree. But he
But
he
who
was
knows? Maybe he'll
definitely
be one of these people that live to be like 105.
100.
Yeah.
Right. I do hope that that's the case for him.
I hope so too. I also hope that he drops his soap.
Mm,
Mhm.
That coming from Britt.
agree. Yeah, I
That's-
agree, girl.
That's
do,
something I would
because-
say. I wouldn't expect that from Britt.
Well,
No.
she's tired. She's been on assignment. She's tired. So
Mhm.
you just get what you get.
That's
I'm
right.
pleased with
No
it.
messing around
No,
tonight.
no,
It's
he,
You-
he took it too far, didn't he, Brett?
You gotta go.
terrible human being, and yeah, he took it too far.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, several times. Several times.
Wow.
Because you think about the brutality of everything,
Oh,
and
and
the
just
psychological
sheer
part.
fear.
Let's put dishes on you, and if these
Yeah.
things clink and make a noise, it's over. And just that's that the psychological part of that alone,
Mhm.
Awful.
it would just be. And
And
we're
then all of
talking
the
about
women that he sexually abused that then had to live with that all of their lives.
yeah, and okay, if you're laying on your bed with your hands tied behind your back, your feet tied together, with dishes on your back, listening to what's going on, knowing that you cannot move or you're both going to die.
Mhm.
The psychological part of that,
Mhm.
he had to
Especially,
get
like-
off on.
Yeah. Especially being like the man of the house. Like you're supposed to be the
Mhm.
protector.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And here you are in such a vulnerable position. And
Yeah.
there's nothing that you can do, or you will die, and so will your wife or your children or whoever.
Yeah.
And now to see this frail, in quotes,
Mm-hmm.
old man in a
Mhm.
wheelchair in the court,
Yeah.
acting like he can't hear, acting like he can't move. He's got, I remember seeing pictures, got a mask on,
Yeah.
and he's kind of halfway slumped over. And it's like, dude, what the
I
hell
think
are
all
you
of this was
doing?
going on around COVID.
Oh yeah, yeah, it definitely was. Yeah,
Hmm.
but and you got to, like, dude, you were so empowered at the time, and now look at you.
Hmm.
Look at you. You're nothing,
Yeah.
and you're going to die in prison and go to hell for what
Hmm.
you done.
Yeah.
And just to see that, and I remember when it was on the news. There was a couple of times they had to stop, the proceedings because he had to be rushed to the hospital.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah,
Having
because
symptoms.
you're about to go to prison the rest of your life
Mhm.
and you're freaking the hell out.
Hmm.
Yep, he's having some heart palpitations.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah, yeah.
He's
Well,
gonna
he
have
didn't
those
have them
type
in
of
the 60s and
palpitations.
70s when all that was going on, did he? You know,
No, no,
and
he reveled in it. He had a good time
and
because he
again,
was sick.
kudos to the police for keeping
It
evidence
alive.
that they didn't know that 25, 30 years later was going to play a
Hmm.
part in this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can't escape DNA.
It's a good
Never.
thing I'm not a police officer because once I'm done with it, trash it, burn it.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't
I
like
know.
clutter.
a lot of times that
Just get on,
that's
get
true.
rid of it.
Get on
It's
with it.
got to
OCD.
it's got to go.
Well,
So,
on that note,
well, that's a
that's
good one,
it,
guys.
sis.
The Golden
Yeah.
State Killer, you old
Yep.
bastard, you're going to die in prison and go to hell.
And then go straight to hell
That's
afterwards.
right.
Yeah.
So,
And I hope you continue to drop your soap in hell.
Yep. In
Yeah.
hell. Over and over
again,
again.
Britt with a
On that
zinger.
note.
All right, guys, check us out, nighthawk-radio.com. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, YouTube Music, Facebook, the Live 365 app, Rumble, Nighthawk Radio, all one word. Remember, Someone Knows, Saturdays at 7, this show Thursdays at 7, Awakening Radio Sundays at 7. So, guys, with that,
Yeah, man.
it is
We're outie.
another one over. So, thank y'all for another good one. Seth, man, take us home, buddy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate everybody doing the show. Appreciate everybody listening. Jesus is King always. And check out Nighthawk Radio Church sermons every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have a good night and God bless.